Good evening, everyone. System Shock here with the 34th episode of Harold Davidson, the Priest Legacy gameplay for Cultist Simulator, the Priest DLC. That Legacy is part of the DLC. So we were painting, we were going on expeditions. The Season of Suspicion came a little bit earlier than we were expecting, so I'm going to have to deal with some evidence at some point. And it seems like it's the Season of Restlessness, so I have to do something to get rid of this this restlessness at the 18 second mark. I might be able to outpace it with the painting, but I probably shouldn't count on it. And then the buzzing in the brain will also turn into a restlessness. Now, it's worth remembering when it comes to restlessness, ideally I would just paint that into something for money. I do have staleness right now, quite a bit of it actually, so we've been doing some more passion-based painting where possible. But of course, that only takes me so far. I'm going to have a minute where I don't really have any passion available. So we're sort of on hold in terms of making those extra instruments. So we've got the Mother of Ants and the Moth. I think I was going to be making the Forge painting or possibly the Heart or Lantern painting. I'm not really sure which one I want to do yet. But I think all of that's going to be sort of a secondary consideration while I deal with the restlessness. We've also been working on some expeditions, so we're currently for the Foreman House. We should be able to get past the Fretful Dead without any trouble, but I am also going to need to make sure that I deal with the Dry Soul Curse. The best option here is just to add a Heart Follower to sort of augment the Percussagant, but of course let's make sure that the Fretful Dead are dealt with first. Now, as far as dreams are concerned, there's not a whole lot for me to really do there. I think it's just to basically, I think the right answer is just to continue going through the Stag Door. And then, with luck, I'll maybe wind up with a couple of secret histories just so I can keep moving up higher. But for the time being, I'm going to leave the talk verb sort of empty. Ideally, I'd have some commissions to turn in, but my work verb's going to be occupied with all of the paintings. So I am going to try and continue on with the path to make as many paintings as I can before sort of moving on to some other tasks for the work verb. We've been doing all right for money, actually. A couple of the paintings really paid off here. But at the moment, I've just simply got other problems to deal with. And unfortunately, we haven't been getting any books that I can really work with right now. So I'm in a little bit of limbo, but it'll sort itself out. And I won't pay for the paints just because we're getting rid of staleness at this point. Okay. Feed my imagination. There are more windows in my soul, but sunlight is not the only thing that passes through a window. So erudition, we'll get some erudition in 23 seconds. I think I was going to use that with the Igavine Rite to get a higher level of knock. Let's lock that in. So I think there's going to be another event before the 30-second mark. Now I do need to consider we've got the evidence coming up. Another season of ambition. So as long as we don't have a season of despair coming up, I should be fine. This is going to fall into dread though, so I either need to use it in a ritual. The Wrath of the Dead. The dead are more like wind than flesh, but it doesn't do to underestimate the wind. Just now they are a terror-fanged hurricane of pale shadow. Fall back. Fall back. All right. My recent work has attracted a couple of callers. With luck, something will sell. So we did give up a little bit of staleness, which is good. We've got some mystique, not that that really matters. I've got a contentment, which I'll be able to use to tranquilize the dread. Of course, we've lost our passion, and we have 1 funds to show for it, so it's not necessarily any worse than what would have happened with the sermon, but I'm going to need to wait a few seconds while I get some extra restlessness. We'll let the buzzing in the brain decay. There we go. So this time I'm going to do 1 passion, and then I'm just going to throw some notoriety at it. This is probably not going to help my staleness, but I'd rather have a full sort of a full slot than sort of do half a job. I might have been able to talk to someone about the restlessness to preserve it, but I don't really like relying on that trick too much. Something feels wrong about it. Okay, Season of Despair coming up, so the Contentment and Dread combination is going to become a little more important. Wisdom is a country, and these are its maps. Oh, we may have 2 erudition challenges. If so, that's a big problem for me. Okay, so Violet wound up wounded. So we don't have any more Winter to throw at the problem. In this case, we're going to bring in Eldridge. So we've got more than enough edge to handle the Fretful Dead at this point. And the colors of the night, I could spend money on better paints, or perhaps I could find more exotic pigments. So Violet is always very careful. Not careful enough, it seems. So we will heal with money. And the Watchman, who is the door in the eye, waits in my dreams. If I learn the lantern lore and I dream of this temptation, I can advance my purpose. The need gnaws at me. So I'm going to take that restlessness and turn it into a painting, but obviously I need to wait for the existing painting to finish off first. All right, so I think it's going to be Fascination this time. Let's try the Ascent of Knives. Nope. Urgency of Appetite. The Ascent of Knives is called the Sharp Stare, and the Mother of Mirrors, and the Feast of the Grail. If one is to look beneath the stare, as I did last night in my dreams, one understands that last name. It draws a tithe of blood from the feet of those who ascend. And Pausai, some shaped like men, many shaped like women, wait beneath the glass of the stairs to satisfy their hunger. I did not approach, I made no sound, I only observed. So, like I said, getting rid of the dread's a bit of a high priority right now. We'll just clear our mind with contentment. And then this restlessness is going to go into a painting. So I'm a little disappointed that the notoriety got picked up for the simple reason that I do want to bring the raw profit into basically to destroy the evidence, but clearly I'm going to need to wait a little bit. The dead are as pale as inverse shadows. They move like cobwebs in a breeze. Almost certainly they can't stand before us. We'll send them mumbling back into the shadows of the wood. So here I'm going to add an extra funds just because we are going to need to get past the curse. In the meantime, we need erudition for the challenge. Like I said, I may need a second one. I can't remember what happens if it gets doubled up, but we'll leave that be for now. And the artist's reward. My recent work is considered notable. I've exhibited the latest paintings publicly. Surely someone will buy something. So more mystique. I don't really need the mystique, but we'll just hang on to it. Still at 2 staleness. Not terrible. And in this case, we'll throw all our passion into this one, but of course, this is mostly in an effort to try and get rid of the restlessness rather than the staleness. But, you know, hopefully we can get rid of the staleness too. Up next, Season of Vision. So this may be a bit dangerous for us when it when the painting's finished. I'm certain that my adversary has lodged a copy of their notes elsewhere, with their solicitor, with their superior, or even with a contact in the press. This is troubling. So we either need to summon a Callagine or wait for the raw profit to become available, but I definitely want to keep an eye on any Season of Suspicion. And the wretched dead. When the dead return to us, they use what matter they can if their bodies are gone. Dust, rust, cobwebs, scraps, and tatters. Now that we have broken them, these tatters are all that remain. The wound is healed, but this one came very close to death. Silence has touched them like snow. So Violet has become even more powerful in the aspect of Winter, so we've now got a level 7 Winter follower. Probably won't really mean a whole lot, but I personally kind of like it when it doubles up their aspect. It just feels right. Right, the sun still moves, the wind still walks. My journals are the labyrinth clue. So this will help me out if I do wind up in a situation where we generate fascination from the painting. For that reason, the dream slot's being left open, and that's just so if fascination comes out of here, I'm going to be able to use one of my fleeting reminiscences. I thought that this one might expire before, but we're making good time on the painting, so that may not hold. Exceptional work. This is something special. It may provoke a reaction. Alright, so plenty of exhausted passion. We kind of take that for granted. So More Mystique. Well, we got a little money for it. Only one staleness left now, and actually don't really have that much as far as notoriety left. So I am going to do one more painting. It is going to be a reputation-based painting. It's mostly just so I can kind of milk the last of this for what it's worth. I guess we'll do a painting on my Fleeting Reminiscence. Oh, and we don't have Fascination, so I can go back through the stag door. And let's add that heart follower right away. So, Clavette, if you please. Another season of suspicion. So this is now where the this is actually where the tentative evidence becomes dangerous. The bit of good news, and the specific reason why I chose the notoriety that I did, is that we only have a minute left on this notoriety. So for the time that it takes the weary detective to pick everything up, we have a little bit of danger from these here, but all of this mystique that I've generated might help me dodge the scarier evidence. Now, if it doesn't, if they get lucky or I get unlucky with the notoriety, the damning evidence can actually be a really big problem for me. So I'm not quite ready to, to break out the champagne yet, but we should be okay without doing anything special. And if it turns out that the damning evidence is generated, that's a situation where I'm either going to take one of my moth followers and try to get rid of it, or I'll do a special summoning, because we do have a few different, like even the bitter black salts or something that I can potentially throw at it. But one way or the other, I've got a few options, but we're not quite in the emergency phase yet. All shall be opened. When we open a thing, then we learn its nature. I've deepened my understanding of the lore that opens, which we call by its aspect knock. So this is the consent of wounds. To open certain ways, one must first open oneself. This practice outlines that opening in the name of the Mother of Ants. Speaking of, if you want to see the Mother of Ants, you can kind of zoom in a bit close to this image, but there are other... I actually ordered through the Etsy shop the tarot deck, so I have a nice copy of the Mother of Ants now. I know nothing about tarot other than the cards look really nice, so maybe I should actually figure out. I think it used to be a playing card game before it became a fortune-telling method. I should look into that. Okay. So, I've only got Glimmering to work with right now. This is not a bad time for me to take a quick inventory of the types of lore that I might want to upgrade. So probably my preference would be the Winter lore, because I can kind of take that to the highest level and finish it. Finish like my potential advancement. The other tempting ones would be Moth, because I've got 4 Ecdysis Parables, so I can move... That can turn into 2 of the next level, which means we can get 1 of the next level, or the level beyond that, the Centipede Testament, which means I can double that up to an even higher level. And same story with Heart. Now, a more practical significance would be the Forgotten Chronicle. Incidentally, so all of the lore that I have a potential upgrade out of, I've got Knock, so we go Locksmith's Secret, Igavine Rite, Consent of Wounds, and then I can't remember the name of the lore beyond that, but we can upgrade Knock. In this case, I'll just talk in the absolute terms. So we can upgrade Knock, we can upgrade Winter, we can upgrade Moth, we can upgrade Heart. But for things like Forge, we can upgrade the Smith's Secrets, yes, we can upgrade the Ardent Orison, but we wouldn't have enough to go even reach the Caledate Invocation. Now, the reason why I'm reluctant to do those particular ones are they involve a lot of work. So the Watchman's Secret, I'm going to need the Erudition. And then we take the Igavine Rite. Again, we need Erudition. From there, we need Erudition and then the Grim Lesson. So in practical terms for me, that's going to mean that I need another another dread. So one for the consent of wounds and one for the operation of the declining sun. Now, I'm not opposed to getting that. It's just more work than I sort of want to take on right now. And of course, when it comes to the secret histories, there is a very immediate practical benefit. So I'm going to start by reading whatever's to hand. That's just to get my erudition up. And then basically what I want to do is I want to take care of the easy stuff first. And if we're still short on books to read, then we can consider doing things like the Winter and the Knocklore and such. So the world is awash with printed words. Even the newspapers contain knowledge sometimes. Moving right along. I will spend for the paints. We're only one staleness. I feel a little weird doing this, but I think it's worth it. All right, call upon the Ring-Yu who is renewed. We're strong enough in heart to be almost entirely secure against the curse. And of course, the almost is always a source of stress. This is work that I can be proud of. With enough publicity, it will sell. And now it did actually just occur to me, even though I'm going to have a bunch of notoriety vanish, I'm going to get the notoriety from the expedition that I'm on. But then again, I guess if I'm on the expedition, or if the expedition's done, then I get the raw profit back. So these things balance out. So in 12 seconds, I'll get my passion back. I think that's probably the right call here. Just try to get rid of that staleness. The curse shrivels. Our power is stronger than the power that was here. The curse won't touch us. Now again, there's the risk of the fascination, but we should be okay because the Season of Visions is passing us by. In the meantime, though, let's lengthen the life of one of these glimmerings. I don't think it'll be too much of a problem because we tend to get glimmering with painting, but... And as a precaution, let's take the trembling to bring a Callagine into the world. And back to the stag door. I don't think there's anything... Yeah, there's nothing for me to play around with. So don't worry about generating a glimmering through studying a passion. I should be able to get that through other means. Now, the wrong kind of attention. The city's rife with journalists and detectives and other meddlers. How long will they leave me in peace? So we've got 3 notoriety, all of which are about to expire pretty soon, and we've got a lot of mystique. So in general, the odds are in my favor, but actually, we've got 2 notoriety that'll hit us when the weary detective starts poking around. But again, you just need 1 notoriety to turn this into damning evidence. So I want to be a bit careful. The words contain knowledge, now I contain it. It's a little like theft, a little like feasting, and a little like the progress of an infectious disease. So we will double up the Forgotten Chronicles. Study the histories. History is less certain than we are taught. I can learn from the study of its blurred edges. And we won't pay for the paint because it's a passion painting. Okay. So we know we're safe from this notoriety. It's only going to be the expedition's notoriety that might be a threat. And of course, we are generating more mystique as we continue to paint, although I am also going to generate more notoriety as I make the esoteric art. So, but I probably won't paint any of those until we know that the evidence is gone. Into the night. Wisdom is a country, and these are its maps. Solve all the challenges on both fragments of lore to complete a research task. My recent work has gone unnoticed. Nothing is sold. Perhaps the work is its own reward. I hope so. I'm still content. And did my staleness go away? No! So that was a complete waste of time. Alright. Why was I leaving this work slot open? Sorry, I got a little bit ahead of myself. So I could try painting with reputation. That would extend the mystique, but I'd potentially throw myself into danger. Let's run with it. Oh, right, I was going to use the work slot for the Callagine. The need for it kind of went away, though, so... tempting to take the subtle rupture. I think I will. In sleep, I ran my fingers along the ridged edges of the stag door's scars. Our company it was that shattered it, Gearby says suddenly. Before the gods who were flesh, the mantis was forbidden to mortals. We were the first no. He begins again to weep his molten tears. I wish that we had not. I wish that I had died in the world. I've forgotten what else he said, but I remember the shape of the fissures in the stag door, and for all of today, doors will fear my touch. So the reason why I was eager to take the why I was eager to take the Forge influence was if we got unlucky and a notoriety got picked up by the weary detective, what I would do is I would take the work slot and I would use that Forge influence to summon a Callagine, and then I would use the Callagine to destroy the damning evidence that would have resulted. So in this case, I didn't need to do that, for the simple reason that when we don't have any notoriety on the table, if we do get notoriety, I'm going to have the raw prophet already working on the tentative evidence. It's actually one of the reasons why I did another painting here, just because this will be able to preserve the mystique, and we'll get a little more time to work on that evidence. And essentially, if I wind up in a situation where, so there's a small chance that the evidence will get scooped up before the raw prophet can deal with it. But basically now, instead of worrying about the Forge, I've got this knock influence, which, I can kind of summon anything I want with it if I need it. But the window in which I definitely needed something that could destroy evidence is sort of past, and now I can kind of do whatever I want for the next little while. Maybe not whatever I want, but I have fewer restrictions than before, because of course if I let the damning evidence go unchecked, it can potentially lose me a follower, or I don't know if... I think you can actually be brought to trial yourself without all of your followers going away, but I've never really got to that point myself, so... Alright, we've got another painting coming up. So that potentially hurts this ability to get the subtle rupture dealt with, but we'll see where we're at. Okay, I should probably read the element before. The casts. In the room that overlooks the grimy glass of the broken conservatory, twisted shapes, yellow pale as maggots, recline on slabs of wood. These are the plaster casts that Foreman made of the poor souls inhabited by the creatures he studied. In some of the figures, the entry holes are visible in the relevant surface. In others, we might assume the creatures entered by ear, mouth, or elsewhere. The room is empty, but at last, when we chance to break one of the casts, we find Foreman's library treasures cached in the figure's yellowing abdomen. So, thank you, Eldridge. Thank you, Eau Claire. Violet, I guess we didn't thank, but we don't thank failure. No. Violet we thanked by healing. The world does not weep, so that is something we can read. It's in Aramaic. We've got Matthias and Amethyst Imago, Transformation, again, another Aramaic text. The Deeds of the Scarred Captain in Greek, something a little more conventional, and the Devoured Tantra in Sanskrit. So all of this is going to need translation, but we can handle all of it. Let's put in that erudition. Of course, the study verb's going to be occupied with the secret histories for a little while, but we can manage. Now, there is the interesting question as to whether or not I want to try and do an expedition without the raw prophet. I think I do, so let's set up the evidence for destruction. What I'm going to do is we'll work on Key Hunter's Garret. Vienna is one of those cities in which has the same name in every history, although adepts know it as the White City, or perhaps the City of White. In a snowy street and a crooked house and a high and rattling attic, we have learnt that an eccentric hunter of imaginary keys has established a tiny trove of odd books. So all the mentions of keys would suggest that you probably want to have knock followers, and if I recall correctly, there is a serpent here. So in this case, I kind of know I want to bring Enid or Neville along with for the adventure. So I'll add the funds as well, just to see if there's anything else that it mentions. So once in Vienna, we hear that the key hunter has not been seen for many days. A local drunk insists that a great serpent entered the house to devour them. Certainly, the house is unlit and boarded up, and there's a reptile house smell. Okay, so not a whole lot to go by except for the knock. So we'll bring along Enid, we'll add Neville next, and then we should get an idea of what else we need as the expedition goes by. And again, we're not going to spend money on the paints. We're really just extending Mystique for a bit longer. The Watchman, who is the door in the eye, waits in my dreams. If I learn the lantern lore and I dream of this temptation, I can advance my purpose. The need gnaws at me. Day's work I have not shirked. I'm hoping we finish this before the next round on the evidence. It's getting close. This work I can be proud of. With enough publicity, it will sell. Just enough. Alright, so there's my contentment. There is the Mystique that is hopefully going to save me. My recent work is considered notable. I've exhibited the latest paintings publicly. Surely someone will buy something. Actually, that sold pretty well. And I would be surprised if we got caught with the notoriety, but again, there's no guarantees. I will paint away the restlessness, but let's give it the 4 seconds to get the passion back. Okay, so we're good with the evidence. If the raw prophet gets caught, then we're in trouble, but otherwise we should be okay. Alright, so this is a passion painting. 1, to get rid of the restlessness, and 2, hopefully we can get rid of the staleness as well, but we won't spend money on paints. Expedition continues. The expedition plans for the next challenge. It'll consume funds. I can add funds now, or I could send another follower. So, lantern almost certainly. I don't remember what the other one is. Hidden doors, lantern or knock? Okay, so add 1 Neville, and we should be good. Unless, of course, somebody gets wounded. Then I will be sad. Bad call. Winter passes the clothes, passes the skin, nestles in the veins. I visited the Ascent of Knives last night, that harshest of roads through the house. It has been sacred to the Menascate and the sun and rags since the intercalate, when the true sun was divided. When I woke, my room was freezing. The chill of it had cracked the window glass. Actually, I might be able to do something with that winter lore now that I think of it. We'll see. Stag door is the Adept's Gate. To pass it is to be initiated into the first true mystery of the House of the Sun. The head Gerby weeps to see me enter where it cannot, but it must let me pass. The scarred valves of the door grind open. Season of Ardor's coming up, so that would be contentment, but I don't need to worry too much about that. And Season of Vision's coming up, so I want to be careful about the types of books that I read or where I go and the Mansis, but I should be fine otherwise. And Glimmering, this is getting ready to... Actually, this one's older. I tend to prefer using the older cards just because you never know when you're going to need something, but I wouldn't expect too much from it. And again, we're not paying for the colors of the night. I might actually be able to use this bitter atmosphere in a painting with the Gradon oil, but I don't really want to provoke the Suppression Bureau quite yet. Call upon the Mother of Ants, which ariseth from wounds. The serpent's mouth is large enough to crouch in, its tongue is the thickness of a man's shoulders, but almost certainly it will respect the power that we bear. And my minion is returned, the evidence has been destroyed, I am a little safer. So we'll add the raw prophet just so that we can preserve it, but in this case we're fine. All that I am is here. So again, this may generate some fascination, which will be a problem, but we will deal with that if it comes to it. If we do wind up in a situation where I have fascination, I'll probably just let the bitter atmosphere decay into dread. Okay, my recent work has drawn some attention. Something should sell. It looks like I've got two cash. If I'm not mistaken, wait, where'd my passion? Oh, no, hang on. It's right here. Cool, we got rid of the staleness. So yeah, if I'm not mistaken, this overexposure turns into money. So, now is a good time for a cliffhanger. Let's see whether or not the bitter atmosphere works. But I'm going to do that in the next episode, which I think is Fridays. So obviously I'm recording all this stuff ahead of time. Thank you for watching. In the next few episodes, we'll still keep going through the expeditions, but we'll finally have some lore to study, and so hopefully there's going to be a little more activity there. If you are enjoying the series and have not done so already, please consider subscribing, and if you'd like notifications of the new episodes, you can hit that bell. And if you'd like to help me get the videos noticed, or if you just generally want to let your voice be heard in terms of how you think of things, I always appreciate the likes. And then I like the comments as someone who just likes hearing from all of you. But of course, any interaction with a YouTube video, whether it is a like or a comment, does help the videos get noticed, and I appreciate it tremendously. I'll see you all in the next video. Have a wonderful evening.